everyone. Welcome to Unity's Transformational Tuesday. My name is Susan Jarboe, and with me today are my friends and colleagues Loy Williams, Linda Baker, and Reverend Linda Burdett. Today we're going to talk about a puzzling concept from the Bible, that of being possessed. But before we get into that, let's open with prayer. Our Heavenly Parent, we gather here today in gratitude for the opportunity to come together as a community of curious minds and open hearts. Thank you for the gift of wisdom, the joy of learning, and the ability to share our perspectives. As we enter this panel discussion, we invite your presence into this space, guiding our words and thoughts. Grant each participant clarity of mind and purpose, and may the exchange of ideas be marked by respect, understanding, and a shared commitment to truth. Bless our time together so that this dialogue may inspire positive change and growth in our lives and in the world around us. In humility and unity, we offer this prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Some of the most intriguing parts of the ministry of Jesus had to do with him removing devils, so to speak, from people. People were possessed, believed they were possessed by a devil, or they knew someone who was possessed by a devil. And so they wanted these evil spirits to disappear. And over the years, as we listen to these stories and think of and ponder them, we look back and we think, well, maybe these people were mentally ill, and that was what was possessing them, so to speak. Today, I want to talk about another perspective on possession. Many of you who have heard me before know I am a big fan of Richard Rohr from the Center for Action and Contemplation. And I want to share an article of his called Possessed by the Wrong Perspective. And he offers one way we might understand the exorcisms that Jesus performed. When a person has a constantly changing reference point, they have a very insecure life. They will take on any persona, negative or positive, and become incapable of much personal integrity. This is the celebrity-obsessed world in which we are living today. The biblical tradition uses the language of having a demon to describe such negative identity. We post-Enlightenment educated people don't like this language very much, but one way to think of being possessed is when there is an unhealthy other or others who is defining us, and usually rather poorly. In that sense, Rohr writes, I've personally known a lot of possessed people. It's no surprise that Jesus exorcised so many demons from people who seemed to carry the negative projections of the surrounding crowd. See Luke 9. Synagogue worshipers, Mark 1 and Luke 13. Or the Gerasene residents, Mark 5, Luke 8. The ancients were not as naive as we might think. In these stories, we see exactly what the internalization of negative judgment means. Such people do need healing, even a major exorcism, which he puts in quotes. While we tend to send them to therapists instead of holy people, in general, the only cure for negative possession is a positive repossession. Jesus is always repossessing people for themselves and for God. When a good therapist, a wise and holy person, or a totally accepting friend becomes our chosen mirror, We are, in fact, being healed. I hope it doesn't sound too presumptuous, Rohr writes, but I think I have exercised a good number of people in my life, primarily because they had the trust and the humility to let me mirror them positively and replace the old mirror of their abusive dad, their toxic church, or their racist neighborhood. That's why Jesus says, your faith has saved you. That's Luke chapter 7. I'm just saying the same. Now, Rohr includes something here from Father Greg Boyle, and you've probably heard of him. He is noted for his work with Homeboy Industries, and this has to do with gangs in Chicago, and his methods have been copied all over the world. It's the largest intervention and rehabilitation program for gangs. And here is one of the things that he says. Jesus asks the demoniac who is terrorizing the neighbors, writing on walls, selling drugs, shooting at people, harassing folks as they walk by, "What is your name?" The guy says Legion, which at first bounce means there are a lot of my homies to back me up. But the word actually means I am what has afflicted me. The invitation and plea is for healing, and Jesus does. Even though it would appear he drives out the demon, he's actually freeing him of his affliction and asking him not to define himself this way anymore. More liberation than salvation. The demoniac's growth is not about becoming less sinful, but more joyful. He is now connected to a community, having been liberated from its isolation. Jesus has made him whole. So this is a different perspective on possession and mental health, and I'd love to hear what you all think of it.
I'm gonna have to look up this man, Mr. Richard Rohr, because every time you mention his name, I always get something great out of it. When you come to it's funny about possession. You know, in the 70s, after The Exorcist came out, there were a ton of other knockoff movies that talked about uh, being possessed by the devil. So every time I hear the word possessed or possession, I think of that, especially when I read those sections of the Bible that you mentioned. But to hear his perspective on it is awesome. It's like it's essentially realizing that it's a way of bringing up the negativity of others around you without blaming others around you by taking responsibility for your own actions, I guess is a good way of putting it, although that's not quite what I mean. But I'm really grateful that you brought up that perspective, and I think I'll let it go at that.
Yes, well, the idea that we are reflecting the world around us, and that's where our demons come from. I find a really useful perspective. Like you said, you're getting away from the blame,
Mhm.
that there's something fundamentally wrong and evil about me. Mhm. Other comments? Linda.
Well, I really do think that there are um, demons out there that, particularly, I have seen them in very sick children before, and um, it's great that there's a way to remove them. And I guess it leaves me with more questions than it does answers. Um, I can understand the philosophy there that the demon is just something that we've made up ourselves, and we have the power to fix that or get rid of it. But if there really is such a thing as a demon, where does it go once it's driven out? Is it free to roam and go into some vulnerable person? And also, what about the power of baptism? Doesn't that protect one from the demons, from being able to be possessed by demons? I love the discussion. It just keeps triggering more and more questions. But I like the perspectives, the different ways of thinking about it. I'm interested to hear what Reverend Linda thinks about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I am looking demon up on the revealing word for a metaphysical interpretation of demon. And here we go. This is from the Revealing Word, which was written by Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore and his second wife, Cora Fillmore. So, demon, metaphysically. This word is used in Matthew 8:28 through 34. When the demons asked to be sent into the swine, I remember that story. The demons of the parable represent error states of mind that have been quickened by truth and are repentant. When one knows the work of Jesus in regenerating or reconstructing the mind and body, and that his work is typical of what all have to do, one seems that negative thoughts have to be dealt with. One also understands that the demons or devils are error states of mind that have to be lifted up by the quickening power of spirit. So that's our metaphysical interpretation of demons. So often in our language, we hear that something has been demonized, meaning made to appear really, really bad. It used to be more common than it is today that if a child especially had a bad prank, a bad side, they were stealing or lying and never seemed to have any guilt or conscience about it, they would demonize that child. There's a demon within. And of course, our mind is so powerful that we can create that within us. Anytime I'm holding a resentment or thinking a bad thought about someone, especially if I'm thinking with the mind of a 4-year-old, I might believe that there's something inside of me that is bad and evil and trying to make me do these things. I might actually end up at war with myself, believing that there's something horrible in me. This might encourage me to cut myself, or self-flagellation was a big thing, just beat on my back to try and get that out. But the more I believe it and the more society accepts that, the more I'm going to act that way and the more real it becomes to me. We know that metaphysically it's an error in thought, it's an error in judgment. Where does it go? Where does a shadow go when the sunlight shines on it? It's just gone. And it's the very same thing with the demons that get pulled out of us. When they're taken out of the darkness and brought into the light, they can no longer exist. There's no, did it go over here? Did it go over here? The sun just illumined itself, and the darkness could not stand up, could not exist in the same place where the sun does. So that demon that gets pulled out is just no more, the same way that a shadow disappears. So did that help, Linda?
Yeah, pretty much so. I do know of cases where small infants showed signs of being possessed. And it makes me wonder, is that coming from the mother into the child?
Well, and it's so hard to say every instance has one cause. It's so
Mhm.
hard to say that it has to be this and nothing but this. We can't do that with any authority, but we do know that when we are in physical form, there are things that we are here to experience, and perhaps that experience is necessary for the furthering of probably not the child's soul because it's an infant, but it could be the mother, the father, an uncle, maybe even the priest involved may need to experience that, so that experience has been provided. And we need to give weight to that. With God, all things are possible. And it wouldn't be a bad thing, it would be a necessary thing for a soul to overgrow a prejudice or an idea that was holding it back from moving forward in evolution. So
And
that may not have answered the question.
well, it just leaves one though, the power of baptism. How strong is that to actually allow a person to say, okay, now I've got the protection. I can get rid of this, right? Or not.
It is as powerful as proclaiming, I am one with God.
Mm,
It's
yeah,
so incredibly powerful. It is choosing God, choosing the divine, choosing the light. It is very powerful.
the right medicine.
Yeah. And Susan, you
Thank
were going to say
you.
something?
Oh, well, I just wanted to comment on the dialogue you two have had about demons. In your reading of the definition, you used some verbs that I'm trying to look back at. Jesus restructured and Jesus did something else. In any event, that is very similar to what Richard Rohr is saying. Repossession, possession by something that is much better and fruitful. And in terms of, uh, say, infant baptism, that might be an example of what is being done for the parents. Like you were saying, Linda, that the child may be stricken with something, but that is for the parents or family members or those that are surrounding the child. And as you know, different denominations have different takes on baptism.
Yeah,
And some believe in infant baptism and think it's a necessity. Others do not believe in infant baptism because they want the person to be making the choice and have the
exactly.
intention.
Yeah, yeah,
So this area we're talking about today, it's there's no one final script that anybody has on it. I want to thank you all for your comments, and you have given us all something to think about. I would like to close with a few comments. First, as you have listened to this, do you have any comments? Did you want to chime in and say, but wait a minute, put those comments in the comments where, on the video. There's a place for comments, and you can share your thoughts there. And when you do put in a comment, um, they get read. People do read them. So please feel free to do so. If you know someone you think might have benefited from this particular discussion, please pass the link on to them. That would be just fine with us, and they might even put in a comment too. Do you have ideas for us? In a talk like this, you can see how we could go in many different directions. And maybe there are directions you would like us to pursue based on one of the talks that you've listened to. So if you have ideas for us, please put those in the comments too. It's just like I said on a recent video that I hope we spend some time on misinterpretations. And so maybe there's something you would like us to spend some time on. You can also subscribe. There's a place where you can subscribe and you will be notified whenever a video is put online. Finally, please consider joining us. Again, if you had a moment where you said, wait a minute, then that means you would be a wonderful panelist to be with us. And we would be happy to have you with us permanently. But do consider this. Maybe there's just one issue that really gets to you, or one issue you want people to know about. We would welcome just one-time presenters. Just let us know and we'll get you set up, and you won't be committed to anything except the one topic you want to present. Thank you so much for being with us today, and God bless you all.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.